Okay, fellas, so welcome to another exciting Python video from Pycoders Academy with me, Faisal from Pycoders Academy. Okay, so we have been through a whole lot of courses in this Python 4 course videos, and we have done for loops, conditional statements. We moved from the beginner to advanced beginner and moved on to the advanced course. So we did some projects on the beginner section, and projects were 3 in number, and we also moved to the beginner advanced where we did some 3 projects also, and we moved on to the advanced programmer courses, and we said we will do some 3 projects under that also. Okay, so today is the starting of these 3 projects. So we will start with the first project in this video, and in the next video we will touch on the next one. Okay, so in this video we are just creating a program for a supermarket. So the supermarket will just key in, we will take the products of the supermarket with their prices, or with their quantity, or with their prices. And okay, so let's say we know their prices and we know the product there. Now what we will do next is just accept items input. So let's say a customer comes and want to buy, let's say, some product, and we will just accept that input, or accept that customer's purchase with its like quantity. Then what we will do next is print out the list of the items the customer bought with its quantity and with its total amount. And the next will be the balance which the customer will be given. So what the customer will pay, and the balance we will also give that customer. Okay, so it's a whole focus, a whole full project on its own. So we will just do it in just a few minutes by using command line, or by not adding any graphical user interface, since we haven't touched on graphical user interface. So this is purely Python, no import, no module use. You are just using pure Python. Okay, so to get started we have to know the problem we are dealing with. So we are just creating a program for a supermarket. So this is a formal program, so your code should look that formal. Since we are not using any graphical user interface, we just create a graphical interface like in our mind to help us appreciate the code we are writing. Okay, so we have to break the code into parts for us to make our code look easier. Okay, so the first thing we will do is just know what we are dealing with. So the first will be the database containing the product. Okay, so the database containing the product will come first. Okay, so that's where the product and the prices will be stored at. Okay, so we can add quantities like the product, the shortages, and how much products are inside those let's say inside our database or inside our shop. So the shop becomes our database, so that's where the products are stored. Okay, next will be, let's say, we'll create an avenue for the customer to buy something. So the items the customer will purchase. So let's say items. Okay, so items purchased by customer. So purchase by customer. Okay, so this will be an input statement to get those items. Now what we will do next is just display that items with its quantity. So display items with quantity and total. Okay, so last but not the least, we will ask for we will get the money. So it's like the attendance is receiving that money, and we will key in that money and get the balance of the money. So let's say we will ask for money, or money to pay. Ask for money. Now the last will be the balance of what the attendant will give it to the customer. So let's say balance. Okay, so balance of Yeah, so the balance, so simple. So these are the parts of the project. So we will have a database, we have the items the customer will buy, we will have us displaying the items, we will ask for the money from the customer, and we'll give out the balance. So simple. So there's a full project on its own, so just sit tight and start watching this video. So we are just coding this from scratch, so from 0 to the 4 or to the highest level. Okay, so let's start from what we have here. So the database. So the first is the database. So the database, you have to think of what the database will look like, since we are not giving any a graphical user interface here. We are just using the command line here. Okay, so what we will be doing is we will create a dictionary, because dictionary can help us to let's say map our keys to some values. Okay, so let's say we have the product and we'll map it to the prices. So what the products are which are in our catalog will be what will be in our database. Okay, so the first one is database. So let's say we will say database, or let's say simply shop. So the shop will be equal to a dictionary. So let's say we are using some some product. So I'll use X. Then so let this the product inside the shop of the supermarket, or inside the supermarket. So then let's say the X are like 20 or 10 each, $10 each. Then I'll add another one, which is bread. Then I will say the bread is $8 each. Okay, then I will say margarine. Then I will say it's $5 each. Then I will say let me see. Okay, so some soft drinks. So soft drinks. Then I will say it should also be $10. Then I'll bring biscuits. Then I will say $5. Okay, so let's say this is our database, which so this is a very small shop. So yeah, so we have a shop like this, and we have those products. So the products are eggs, bread, margarine, soft drinks, and biscuits with their prices. So the price of each egg is, so for one egg is $10, and so that's our currency. So let's say our currency in $10. We can, yeah, we can create another but we won't add it now. We can create another avenue like currency here, to accept currency. Now when the currency is changed, we just convert those values here. So to do this, I will add this currency here, so that we will appreciate what we are doing. So let's say by default we will do it as US dollars. So by default, I will say default is let's say in US dollars. Okay, so simple. Now we have our database set to a row. Now we move on to the currency aspect. So by default we have dollars here. Now what we have to do is just, let's say, ask for the user's currency, then we convert. So to make it so fundamental, not that complex, we just use a currency. So I'm here in Ghana, we will use Ghana cedis. So I will use Ghana cedis now. So now I will just ask for the currency. So currency is equal to, then I will ask for an input. So I'll just say currency. Then I'll display the default currency here. So default is US dollars. Okay, so something like this. Okay, now let's use some. Okay, so now we have our database, we have our currency, we have our items. Okay, so now what we have to do next is just, since it is in dollars, you have to convert those prices to let's say those numbers to uh the currency the person will key in. So let's say we have a currency which is called Ghana cedis. So and the rate is 5. So $1 is 5 cedis, so it means it's by 5. So we will multiply those values by 5. So that's what we will do now. Okay, so if we just create an if statement here, so if the currency is equal to GHS, so that's the Ghana cedis GHS. Okay, what we will do is just do currency. Okay, currency, and if currency is equal to Ghana cedis, now what we will do is just collect those values or those numbers inside that database. Okay, so we just do for, so we use a for loop to get those keys here. So to get the key, we use shop.keys. So for key in shop.keys, shop.keys. Okay, so these are the keys we are getting now. We just do dict. Oh, sorry. So shop was the dictionary name. So shop of the key. So this is getting this is passing the key collected. So let's say it has collected X, then it will pass it in the parentheses there, then it will be shop parentheses X. So we are getting the value of the X here. Now what we will do next is just do star is equal to, so this is an increment, so we are multiplying it by itself, so by 5. So we are saying get, so it's something like is equal to shop key then star 10, or so, yeah, star 5. So that's the rate. Okay, so something like this, but we don't want to write this whole star, so we just do star equal. Okay, so now that's what we are doing. So you are saying go to the shop dictionary, collect the key, now get that value, then multiply by 5. So simple. So it has been updated. Now what we can do next is let's print this shop out and see if we get an updated value here. So just do shop here. Now let's run this code and see what we should get. Okay, so we are getting currency, we are saying GHS. Okay, so you can see it has been multiplied, so we are getting 50 here, 8 by 5 is 40, and so on. Okay, so now we can create an else statement here for purposes of wrong currencies. So for wrong currencies, we are dealing with only one here, so let's stick to one. So else just do pass. So let's pass it. So the shop will remain its default values. Okay, so next is items purchased by customer. So that's the input the customer will give. So let's say what the customer wants to buy, so it will be in input form. Okay, so how will you want to get your input? So I would like it to be in a tuple form, so something like the product and the quantity comma another product and the quantity comma, so that way. So I will do this for this video, so you can choose any way you want. Once it's very simple for you to handle, it's so simple. Now what you do is items is equal to then input, then I will say items purchased, so purchased. Okay, now this is what I'll do. So I'll give an example here to make it so simple. So example, then I'll say X, so 3 in number, then bread 4 in number. Okay, so simple. Now that's what we are doing. So this collects our items you want to the customer bought. So this is what the customer bought. Now we move on to let me see, display items quantity and total. So we have to display the items quantity and total. So the items there the customer bought. But when you print the items like that, we won't get the values we want. So what we have to do next is get the numbers and the values and use it. Okay, so simple. Now we will create an empty list here to get the products in a separate list, and we'll get the quantity in also a separate list. So let me say items is equal to empty list, then the quantity is also in a separate list, so something like this. Okay, now we just split this items coming in, which is the input. So we just do, let's say, product is equal to items, then dot split. Since it's a comma there, we just split by a comma, so comma. Okay, so now we have this. So here we will get a list which contains our product and its quantities in that respective order. So now we just do for, since it's a list, for, let's say, item in product, then I will say items dot append product 0. Okay, sorry, this should be item. So item dot split. So because there is a space between the x and the quantity, or the product and the quantity, we have to split it first. Then after splitting we just append the value to the empty list. So item dot split, then you call the first value, which is the 0 index, which is the product itself. Then we store the quantity in another list, which is an empty one, called the quantity dot append, then item dot split, then I'll pass the index 1. So if you can see, we have the x here. So here, let's say we are taking only this section, we are saying split this x. So when it splits, this becomes the 0th index and this becomes the first index, or the 1th index. Okay, so now which we have our product stored inside separate list, so we can just work on them so simply. Now what we will do next is just get the total values. So let's say we just multiply the numbers inside the dictionaries by the quantity we have. So I will just create a variable here, total is equal to, let's say, 0. Now for every loop which has run, we just do total, then I will say plus, or total is equal to, then product. Okay, so we will get this value times the quantity. So which value is this? So we just do shop, then we just do, so what are we should copy this, which is the key or the product name. So shop, then the product name star multiplied by the quantity. So the quantity is the first one, so C. Okay, so something like this. So we are saying shop item dot split. So this gets the number here. Now after the number has been collected, it will be multiplied with the quantity of that product. So you just multiply the quantity. Now it will store it in the total variable here. Now when it runs another one, it will be just adding it. So we just do total is equal to shop item dot split star item dot split, then so simple. Okay, so we just do total plus. Okay, so something like this. So we are just saying multiply the value in the dictionary, then by the quantity. After that, add it to the total. So for everyone it add it to the total. So for everyone, add it to the total. So that's what we are saying here. Okay, now let me print something out to see what we are doing here. Okay, so let me print the total out here. So total. Okay, so let's run this code and see how far we are. So GHS, which is the currency. Now items, I will say X, then I will say I bought 5, then I will say bread, I bought 2, then I will say soft drinks. Okay, now let me use margarine instead. Margarine, I bought 7, then I will say biscuits, I bought 1, only 1. Okay, so unsupported operand type for int and string. Okay, so I think here is the problem. You just do int here, since we are getting a string rather, so just do this, just do that. So simple. Now let's run this code and see again. So GHS, and we have X, I bought 4, bread, I bought 2, biscuits, I bought 1, margarine, I bought 3. Okay, so I'm getting the total, which is 380. So we don't want the total now, we just want to display items quantity and its total. Okay, so that brings us to the next section, which is this section. Okay, so display items quantity and total. So we already have the items quantity in a list, and we also have the quantity in another list, and we can get the total so simply. Okay, so what we will do is just create a for loop to iterate over the items and just print it out. So we just do for, let's say for val in items, that's where we store our items. So here, that's where we stored our items here, or product names. Then we just do print. Okay, so first I'll print the title first, so as to differentiate between the names. So I will say print items, then I will give a space for to separate it, so plus, so concatenate it with a empty space here. Let's say I'll move 10 spaces ahead. So okay, so let me put it in parentheses, 10 spaces ahead. Then I'll add quantity also. So quantity, I'll also move 10 spaces ahead. So space, then I'll say 10 multiplied by 10, star 10. Okay, star 10, shift. Okay, next will be, so items quantity, then last will be total. So concatenate with total. Okay, so we are good to go. Now, yeah, let me change this to capital. Okay, so we have our heading, which is the item quantity and total. We can just print let's say dashes below it, but we don't need it. The header is enough. Okay, so next is just printing the items in the right place. So we just do print val. Okay, so that's the product head or the product name. So that's something like egg or bread. Okay, so now we move to 10 spaces as we did here. So 10 spaces. Okay, so 10 spaces like this to make our code look good. Next is just do plus, then the quantity will also come. So the quantity is in the quantity variable, so we just do quantity. But wait, the quantity should match the index of the item inside the item ITMS variable or ITMS list, so that it will match the quantity, because when we were appending, we appended it in the same order, so we have to get it in the same order so as to get the correct values. Okay, so what we will do here is just call the quantity, then square bracket, then we say items dot index of what, so index of the val. Okay, so we are going to the list here, items list, then we are finding the index of this val of the current let's say item we have collected, and we are just collecting it from the quantity. Okay, so simple. Now you just do a space again, so just do a space again, so starting. Okay, now let me close. Okay, I've already closed this. Okay, so yeah, so you have the val here, which is the item name, you have the space, quantity, space, then the total will also come. So the total, so total is just the quantity times the item price. Okay, so we just do quantity items dot index, then the val. Okay, so this is the quantity. Now let me put it in an int form, so let me bring a bracket here. Oh, I've deleted this, so bracket. Okay, so something like this. Okay, now you have the bracket here, quantity items dot index, so that's the quantity. Now we have to multiply it by the price. Okay, so the price is just going to the shop dictionary, so shop, then I will say val, so simple. Okay, so we will get the price of that item, then multiply it by the quantity, so simple. Now let me convert this to an int to prevent errors. Okay, so an int here. Okay, let me, here will be a string because we are concatenating it, so simple. So what we did here is just the item name, then 10 spaces, then quantity, 10 spaces, then you multiply the quantity by the let me see, the quantity by the price of that item. Okay, so let me see. Okay, I have to close the bracket, so close another one. Okay, I think I'm having problem with my, let me see. Okay, last one. Okay, let me clear one here. Okay, another one also here. Okay, so it will be one here. Okay, so simple. Now, oh, what are they saying again? Expected this. Okay, did I open the square bracket somewhere? Okay, so it's done now. Okay, so what we have done is just printing it out in a way that we will see it as like in a way that we see it pleasantly. Okay, so now we just print this out and see what we have now. GHS. Okay, so I have to convert that GHS to lowercase so as to conform to all the lowercase or the other cases. Now for bread is 2. Okay, so key error egg. Okay, so we have an error here, so let me see. Okay, so it's the total. Okay, so shop, so here we are saying shop item dot split 0. Okay, okay, so shop item dot split 0. Okay, so what have we done here? Okay, I understand now. I typed X here instead of X. Oh god. So GHS, now here should be X. We are correct. So 3, then bread. Oh, let me uncomment this. Okay, so it was my mistake. Okay, so let me stop around. GHS, then X, which is 4 in number, then bread is 2 in number. Okay, so at least we are getting some of it here, but the rest are buggers. Okay, so let me see, list index out of range here. Okay, so index val plus. Okay, so here what are we doing here? Let me see, so quantity. Okay, so I have to close it here instead of there. Okay, so let's run it again. GHS X 2 in number, bread is, let's say 4 in number. Okay, so we are getting it. At least we are getting some output here. Okay, but here is a string here. I don't want to be a string here, so I have to convert this to int. Okay, so integer. Okay, now let me run this again. Okay, so X 3, then bread 4. Okay, I'm still getting an integer. Is it, maybe it's from here, or let me see, where is this coming from? So string int of quantity. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so you should cover this. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay, let me see. Yeah, it's correct. So GHS X 3, bread 4. Okay, so it's working now. So it has been multiplied here. So let me see, let me check if it's correct. Here we are first it will multiply it by 5, so it will multiply the 10 here by 5, which is 5, 10, 50. Okay, so now what it will do is, since the quantity is 3, then 50 times 3 is 150, so it's correct. Okay, so but you can see there is inconsistency in our spaces. So what you have to do is just get the longest item, let's say the number of characters in the longest item, then structure our spaces that way. Okay, so now what we will do is just go inside the items keys. Okay, so let's define a for loop here. So for it, okay, let me use another name. So for products in items. Okay, so we just do let me create a list here, getting the total number of characters in each item name. So let's say list is equal to an empty list here, list. Okay, now what I will do is just do predict. So let's say list dot append then len of products, or PR. Okay, so something like this. Okay, now what we'll do next is just print out, let's say, since we know the longest character, now we have to just subtract, so we just do subtraction here. So let's say for val in items, you can just the difference of the characters is equal to the longest one, which is let's say the maximum of the lists. Okay, so that's the maximum number of the list. Okay, so now we will just do I will use the sorted instead. So list dot sorted, something like this. Okay, let me see. Sort. Okay, let me use sort rather. Then -1. Let me see. Okay, so when we use sort, it starts arranging from the lowest to the highest, and you know the highest will be at the last end, so which will be the -1 index. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so that's the -1 index. So we just do diff. So that's the difference. Now let me see. Dot sort. Okay, I'm getting cannot reference in none. What is in none? Okay, let's see if it will be sorted out now. Okay, now we have the longest characters, longest name characters, so the number of characters in that longest name. So now we would like to subtract it from the longest name, so we just do this one minus len of the val. So simple. Okay, now we just multiply it here. So this will be the def star, then an empty space here. So yeah, okay, so simple. Now we have this. So now let's run this code and see if it's working. GHS, then x2 red and 4. Non-type object is not subscriptable. Okay, predict list. So for val in, okay, I think max of, let me see, max of list. Okay, so minus len of val. Okay, so let's run this code again and see. GHS x2, then you have bread 4. Okay, so it's working now. Now you can see it's matching this line here. So what we have to do is just push this to the right, further to the right. So you just put this further to the right. So just put okay, so you push here by, let me see, here should be by 15, and here should be by 15 also. So 15. Now let's run this code. So GHS, then we have x, now you have bread is 2. Okay, so still push so further away. Let's go to 13, and here should also be 13. So let's go. Okay, so GHS x3 bread is 2. Okay, here should go a little bit further, so let me do it for team. So GHS x3, then bread is 4. Okay, so I think this is okay now. So we have displayed the items, the quantity, and the total. So that's the main function of the third one. So this is the third one. So we have to add the total of these numbers. So the 150 and 160, you have to add the total. So what you have to do is just just print. Then I will say space here times, let's say 30. Put it in parentheses, then I will say plus total is equal to, then I will concatenate it with, let's say the total here. Okay, so the total is the total sum of our values, so something like this. Okay, we are done. Now let's run this code and see. So GHS, you have x3, you have bread 4. Okay, so you can see it's calculating now. 150 plus 160 is 310. So simple. So you are getting our answer here. So that's that for the total section. Now we move on to ask for money and the balance. Okay, so just create an input. So let's say pay is equal to input, then I will say, let's say payment, okay, colon, so something like this. Now we just accept that payment, then we just subtract it from the total. So we just do balance. So Control C here, Control V. Now here should be balance is equal to, here should be total, or yeah, maybe the pay will be greater than the total, so pay minus the total. That's that. Okay, now okay, here should be in small case. Okay, so I think that's that. Let's run this code again. GHS x, then bread is 2. Okay, total is 280. Now I'll pay 300. Okay, so unsupported operand for, okay, so here should be, okay, so here should be an int rather. Okay, now let's go GHS x3 bread 4. Okay, 310, we are giving in 400. Okay, so balance is 90. So simple. So that's how to do this project. So now we have actually gone through this. We have gone through, so we have the database, the currency, the items purchased, the display items, the ask for money, and the balance. Okay, so that's that for this video. Thank you for watching. So this is the first project under the advanced Python course. So this is a full Python project, no model imported. So you can see that I didn't import any model here. This is purely Python. Okay, so the next project will be in the next video. Okay, so thank you for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching.